Mark raised his glass at the head of the table, the same table I had built with my father in 1971 from white oak we cut on the back ridge. "To Walt," he said, smiling at the room, "the man who's going to leave us this land, if he can stay off the tractor long enough to get there." The room laughed. Rachel laughed. Connor, my grandson, laughed harder than he needed to, the way 19-year-olds laugh when they want to belong to the adult joke. I laughed too. That's the part I keep coming back to. I laughed. I lifted my glass, I smiled the small smile I'd been practicing for 5 years since Martha died, and I said, "Thank you, son," because that's what you say when your family has gathered to celebrate the man they've decided is already on the way out. My name is Walter Crowder. I'm 68 years old. I own 180 acres of rolling hill country in Stokes County, North Carolina, 2 hours west of Raleigh and 20 minutes north of Walnut Cove. My father bought the first 40 acres in 1958 with money he saved working second shift at the Patemont Mill. I added the rest across my working life, 42 years as a large animal vet driving between dairy operations and hog farms in a Ford F-250 that I still have parked behind the equipment shed.
Martha and I raised one daughter on this land, Rachel, 42 now, married to Mark Beaumont, real estate broker out of Winston-Salem. They live in a subdivision near the country club and visit me 3 times a year, mostly around Christmas and my birthday, and one weekend in summer when Rachel starts feeling guilty. That was my birthday, October 14th, 2025, and I did not know yet, standing at that dinner table with a glass of Pinot Noir in my hand, that by Friday morning I would be sitting across from a lawyer in Winston-Salem with a manila folder on the table between us, and that what was inside that folder would undo 23 months of quiet work my son-in-law had been doing behind my back. I also did not know that the land my father bought with second shift money was already 40 acres smaller than I believed it was. The dinner was Rachel's idea. She called in September, said she wanted to do something special for my 68th, something more than the cake and coffee arrangement we usually did. She said it had been too long since the family sat down together. She said Mark agreed. I should have paid attention to that. Mark agreed. Mark did not agree to things unless Mark had a reason.
I drove into Walnut Cove on the afternoon of the 14th, wearing my good flannel and the boots I kept polished for funerals and weddings. The restaurant was a place called The Hearth, converted tobacco barn on the west side of town, the kind of place that puts the tasting menu on a chalkboard and charges $42 for a chicken thigh. Rachel hugged me at the door. She smelled like the perfume Martha used to buy her for Christmas. "Happy birthday, Daddy." Mark shook my hand, firm, the way he'll always shook hands, like he was closing a deal. "Walt." Connor said hey without looking up from his phone. We sat. Rachel had reserved the corner table by the window. The view was the parking lot and a stand of poplars going yellow. I remember thinking it was a nice view for a woman who had grown up able to see the Sourtown Mountains from her bedroom window. The wine came. The bread came. The conversation stayed light and careful, the way conversation stays when people have rehearsed it. Rachel asked about the cattle. I said the herd was down to 18 head, mostly because I wasn't replacing the ones I culled. Mark said that was smart, winding down, simplifying. I said something non-committal. Connor asked if he could have a beer. Rachel said no. The main course arrived, some kind of pork loin with a reduction. I ate slowly, the way I eat everything now, because Martha used to say a man who rushed his food was a man running from his own thoughts, and I had plenty of thoughts and nowhere left to run. And then Mark raised his glass. Before we cut the cake, he said, "I want to say something." The room quieted. I set down my fork. "Walt, you've been like a father to me." He paused, waited the line to land. "More than my own, honestly. And this family, Rachel, Connor, me, we just want you to know that whatever happens, whatever the next years look like, we've got you, whatever you need." Rachel was nodding. Her eyes were wet. "We're gonna take care of things," Mark said, "so you don't have to. You've earned that." Then he smiled, that smile he had, the one that moved independently of the rest of his face. "To Walt, the man who's gonna leave us this land, if he can stay off the tractor long enough to get there." The room laughed. And I laughed too. That is the part that 3 weeks later, I still could not explain to myself. I laughed.
I drove home alone. It's a 40-minute drive from Walnut Cove to my property. 2-lane road the whole way, through pasture and loblolly pine, and the occasional church with a lit cross on the roof. I drove slow. I kept both hands on the wheel. I did not turn on the radio. At some point past the Dan River Bridge, I realized I was gripping the steering wheel hard enough that my knuckles were white against the leather. I relaxed my hands. I thought about Martha. Martha had died on a Tuesday in March of 2020, the second week of the pandemic, in a hospital room in Winston-Salem where I could not hold her hand because they had moved her to a COVID wing, even though what killed her was a stroke. She had been 62. We had been married 38 years. After she died, Rachel came home for the service and stayed 4 days. Mark came for 1. They sent flowers to the funeral that cost more than my monthly electric bill, the kind of flowers that announce themselves. After they left, the house got quiet in a way houses get quiet when the person who made them a house is gone and the thing becomes a building again. I learned to live in the building.
I made coffee at 5 in the morning because I had always made coffee at 5 in the morning. I fed the cattle. I drove the fence line. I read in the evening, mostly Cormac McCarthy and Wendell Berry and the old agricultural extension bulletins I had collected across 40 years of practice. I did not cry often. When I did cry, I did it in the truck, alone, on some stretch of Route 66 between visits that did not matter anymore because I had retired in 2022. Rachel called on Sundays. The call lasted 12 minutes usually, sometimes 15. "How are you, Daddy? Are you eating? Are you taking your blood pressure medication? Have you thought any more about coming to stay with us for a while?" I said I was fine. I said I was eating. I said yes to the medication. I said no to the staying with them. Rachel accepted the no the way people accept a thing they didn't really want in the first place. I pulled into my driveway at 10 past 10. The gravel crunched under the tires. The dogs, Rue and Bascom, my 2 border collies, came off the porch wagging. I turned off the engine. I sat there for a minute with the key in the ignition, listening to the tick of the cooling engine and the sound of crickets in the field. Then I went inside. I did not sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with a glass of bourbon I did not drink, and I ran the evening through my head, one beat at a time, looking for the place where I had mistaken something. I could not find it. That was the problem. The dinner had looked from the outside exactly love. I woke at 4:30. That's my time. Has been since I was 21 and started working the morning milking at the Ferguson Dairy outside Germantown. Your body learns an hour, and it keeps that hour for you whether or not you need it. I made coffee, black, Folgers, because I am not the kind of man who orders beans online from Oregon. I stood at the kitchen window and watched the first gray light come over the ridge. I thought about the toast. I had been thinking about the toast for 6 hours. Here is what I had decided. A joke in a family is never only a joke. A joke in a family is a bid. It is a proposal. It asks the room to agree about something the speaker is not willing to state directly. The toast had been a bid. Mark had bid that I was declining, that I was on the way to the grave, that the land would be theirs soon, and he had bid it in front of Rachel, who agreed by laughing, and in front of Connor, who agreed by laughing harder. The room had accepted the bid, and so had I, because I had laughed. I set the coffee cup down. I walked to the office, the small room off the kitchen that used to be Martha's sewing room, that I had converted into a desk and file cabinet after she died. I opened the top drawer. I pulled out the folder marked Crowder Farm, deeds, titles, related. I had not opened that folder in 4 years. I spread the contents across the desk. Original deed from 1958, my father's name in the old cursive of the Stokes County Recorder. Parcel editions from 1973, 1981, 1994, 2008. Survey maps, property tax statements.
the title insurance from the last refinance Martha and I had done, which was back in 2015. Nothing recent. Nothing from the last 2 years. That was the first thing that was wrong.
In a normal life, a man my age should have tax statements, insurance paperwork, correspondence from the county, the ordinary detritus of owning land. I had some of that, but the folder ended in 2021. After 2021, I had a few receipts and not much else. I had stopped paying attention. Martha had always handled the paperwork. After she died, I had let things drift. And then in September of 2023, I had gotten pneumonia, a bad one, a week in Wake Forest Baptist, the kind of pneumonia that makes a 66-year-old man sign papers in a hospital bed when someone he loves puts them in front of him. I remembered signing papers. I remembered Rachel crying beside the bed. I remembered Mark saying, very calmly, "Walt, this is just so we can handle things if you can't. Just insurance. Nothing changes." I had signed. And I had gone home 3 weeks later and I had not thought about those papers again. I sat down in the desk chair. My hands were steady. That was the thing I noticed. My hands were steady. I picked up the phone.
Ellis Tate's office sat on the 4th floor of a brick building on West 5th Street in Winston-Salem, 2 blocks from the courthouse. I had known Ellis for 30 years. I had treated his Labrador for lymphoma in 2012 and saved the dog another 18 months. Ellis had sent me a Christmas card every year since. I called him at 7:15. He answered on the second ring. "Walt." "Ellis, I need to come see you, today if you can manage it." He did not ask why. He never did. He said to come at 9. I shaved. I put on a shirt with buttons. I drove into Winston-Salem with the folder on the passenger seat beside me and the 2 dogs left at home because this was not a dog kind of morning. Ellis was 65, short, precise, the kind of lawyer who keeps his tie knotted tight even when nobody is in the office. His receptionist brought me coffee. I sat in the client chair and set the folder on his desk. "Walt, what's going on?" I told him. I told him about the dinner. I told him about the toast. I told him about the pneumonia and the hospital papers. I told him what I had found in the folder that morning, which was nothing, which was the problem.
Ellis listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Walt, before we go any further, did you ever get a copy of what you signed in the hospital?" "No." "Did Mark or Rachel ever give you one?" "No." "Did you ever ask?" "No." He nodded slowly. He did not look surprised. He looked, if anything, tired. "Okay, here's what we're going to do, today. First, I'm going to have Pam," he gestured at the outer office, "pull every recorded document with your name on it in Stokes County. We're going to see what the public record says. That'll take about 2 hours. You can wait here or you can get breakfast." "I'll wait." "Second, I want you to go to the Register of Deeds yourself this afternoon. I want you to look at the originals, not the printouts. Some things don't show up on electronic records the same way. You understand?" "Yes." "Third, Walt?" He paused. "Whatever we find today, you don't say anything to anyone. Not Rachel, not Mark, nobody. We don't show a hand we haven't finished drawing. Okay?" "Okay." He stood up. "One more question. Is there any reason at all, you'd refuse to press charges if we find what I think we're going to find?" I thought about Rachel at 6 years old, sitting on the tractor with me while I cut the north hayfield, her small hands on top of mine on the wheel. I thought about her laughing at the toast. "No," I said. "There's no reason."
Pam came back at 11 with a stack of paper. She did not say anything. She handed the stack to Ellis. Ellis took it. He sat down. He read. I watched his face. "I am going to tell you the truth about this. Ellis Tate has one of the most controlled faces I have ever seen on a human being. I have seen Ellis Tate deliver the worst news a man can hear. I was with him the day his wife was diagnosed in 2018, and his face did not move. His face moved now. It was small, a tightening around the mouth, a slow blink. He set the stack of paper down. "Walt," Tell me. In September of 2023, you executed a durable power of attorney naming Mark Beaumont as your attorney, in fact. Broad powers: real estate, financial, medical. It's notarized. Witnesses are 2 hospital staff, both still verifiable. Okay. Since that date, since January of 2024 actually, 4 parcels have been deeded out of your ownership, sold. 4 separate transactions. I did not speak. The first was in January of 2024. 5 acres off the east boundary sold to a neighbor named Cleve Potter for $18,000. The second was in June of 2024. 12 acres sold to a development LLC for $96,000. The third was February of 2025. 8 acres, another LLC, $64,000. The fourth was July of 2025. 15 acres, same development LLC as the second sale, $140,000. I did the arithmetic in my head. 40 acres, $318,000.
Ellis. Yes. That's not all of it, is it? He looked at me. No, Walt, it's not. He turned the top page of the stack toward me. It was a contract, not a deed, a contract, a purchase and sale agreement, executed 14 days earlier, September 30th, 2025. I read the header. Agreement for sale of real property. Parties: Mark Beaumont, as attorney-in-fact for Walter J. Crowder, seller. Piedmont Ridge Resort Development, LLC, buyer. 60 acres. Purchase price $870,000. Closing set for November 7th. 3 weeks from that day. I sat back in the chair. I did not say anything for a while. Ellis waited. He is good at waiting. He did not fill the silence. Finally, I said, "So he threw me the birthday dinner because he's about to close on $900,000 of my land and he wanted to see my face one more time before the county tax bill shows up with my name on a parcel that doesn't exist anymore." Ellis did not answer. He did not need to. I looked out his window at the November sky over Winston-Salem, gray and low, with the kind of light that feels like it knows something you don't. "Ellis," I said, "what do we do?" He said, "Walt, I am going to ask you one more time, and I need you to be sure, because what we do next is going to take your family apart." I thought about Rachel on the tractor. I thought about the toast. I thought about 60 acres of my father's land signed over to a resort company by a man who had called me dead weight in a room full of people who loved him more than they loved me. My family, I said, took itself apart already. I just didn't know it.
After I left Ellis's office, I drove north out of Winston-Salem on Highway 52 and then west onto the county road that leads to the farmhouse where Roy Males lives. Roy was sheriff of Stokes County for 22 years, retired in 2018 because of his hip. We had been friends since 1987 when I pulled a calf out of a cow in the middle of a blizzard on his family's property at 3 in the morning, and he decided that night that I was a man worth knowing. Roy was sitting on his porch when I pulled up. The porch faced west, toward the mountains. He had a thermos of coffee on the table and a folded newspaper and the kind of expression a man wears when he has been thinking about something for a while and is waiting to be told what it is. "Walt, Roy, come up and sit down." I did. He poured me a cup of coffee from the thermos. We sat for a minute without speaking, watching the light move on the ridge. Then I told him everything. I told him the same story I had told Ellis, but with different edges on it, the edges you use when you are talking to a man who spent 2 decades investigating other men. Roy listened. He did not interrupt. When I was done, he asked 3 questions. The notarization on the power of attorney. Who was the notary? Hospital staff. 2 witnesses. Were you on medication? Yes. Do you remember what you signed? No.
He nodded. "Walt, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to hear it. Your son-in-law is not a smart man. A smart man would have forged 1 signature, taken $100,000, and disappeared. Your son-in-law took 40 acres over 18 months and is about to take 60 more in a public transaction with a resort developer. That's not a smart crime. That's a man who believed you were never going to look." I wasn't going to look. No, you weren't, and he knew that, which is its own kind of cruelty. But it's also his mistake, because now you're looking,
and the paper trail is sitting in the courthouse waiting for anyone to read it. He took a sip of coffee. Here's what I can do. I know everyone in the sheriff's office, every DA in 3 counties, and 2 agents at the state attorney general's elder financial abuse unit. I can make phone calls this afternoon. By Monday morning, you'll have a detective assigned, and by the end of the week, your son-in-law will be having the worst conversation of his adult life. That's if you want me to. I want you to. He nodded. We sat for another minute. Then Roy said, "Walt, one thing." "Yes." "When this is over, when the court papers are filed and the land is back and the man is sitting in front of a judge, your daughter is going to call you. She's going to be crying. She's going to ask you to drop the charges for the sake of the grandson. She's going to tell you that Mark is a good man who made a mistake."
I looked at him. And you need to have your answer ready before that phone call. Not after, before. Because if you start thinking about it after she calls, she's going to win. I said, "I know what my answer is." "Then say it out loud, to me, right now." I said it out loud, to Roy, on that porch, in November. Roy nodded, the small nod he used to give men who would just testify to something true. "Okay," he said, "then we go." Ellis filed the revocation of the power of attorney on Wednesday morning, October 22nd. He filed it at 9:04 a.m. in the Stokes County Courthouse, in person, with certified mail notifications going out the same afternoon to Mark at his home address, his office, and the closing agent for the Piedmont Midge Resort transaction. The revocation killed the November 7th closing. The Development LLC got the notice at 2:30 that afternoon. Their lawyer called Mark at 2:41. I know this because it was in the record later, in the text they pulled off Mark's phone. At 3:17, Mark called Rachel. At 3:41, Rachel called me.
I was in the barn when the phone rang. I was changing the oil in the tractor, which I did not need to do because the tractor did not need it and I had nothing else to do with my hands. I looked at the screen. Rachel. I let it ring. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. 2 minutes later, it rang again. I let it ring. It went to voicemail again. At 3:50, a text came through.
"Daddy, please call me. Something has happened and I need to talk to you. Please."
I wiped my hands on a rag. I sat down on the upturned milk crate I kept in the barn for when my knees needed it. I looked at the text for a long time. Then I typed one back. I'm okay. Alice Tate will be in touch with you and Mark by Monday. Anything you need to tell me, tell him. I sent it. I put the phone in my pocket. I went back to the tractor. At 4:06, Mark called. I let it ring. At 4:11, Mark called again. I let it ring. At 4:19, I got a text from Mark. "Walt, we need to talk. There is a misunderstanding. Please call me." I did not answer.
At 5:42, Rachel sent another text. "Daddy, I don't understand what is happening. Mark is beside himself. He says the bank notified me about the property. Please, Daddy, please, just talk to me." I read it. I put the phone down. I went into the house. I fed Rue and Bascom. I made myself a ham sandwich with mustard on white bread, because I am a man from Stokes County, and that is what supper is sometimes. I ate it standing at the kitchen counter, looking out at the field, the way I had eaten 10,000 meals in my life. Then I washed the plate. I dried it. I put it back in the cabinet. I turned off the phone. I went to bed at 9, earlier than usual, and I slept the kind of sleep a man sleeps when he has finally stopped pretending. The meeting was in Ellis's conference room on the following Monday, October 27th, at 10 a.m.
Rachel and Mark were already there when I arrived. They had been waiting, Ellis told me later, for 40 minutes. Ellis had kept them waiting on purpose. He did that sometimes. I walked in. Ellis stood. Rachel stood. Mark stood. "Walt," Mark said. I did not answer him. I sat down in the chair Ellis had left for me, at the head of the table, closest to the door.
Rachel's eyes were red. She had been crying. She had the face she got when she was a child and had broken something she thought I would be angry about. A mix of fear and the kind of self-justification that is trying to become an apology without actually becoming one. Mark looked older than he had at the dinner, gray under the eyes. He had not slept. Ellis opened the folder in front of him. "I've asked Mark's counsel to be present by phone," he said. "He's on the line now." A voice from the speakerphone. "Good morning, Gregory Hunt, counsel for Mr. Beaumont." "Good morning, Greg. I'm going to walk through what we found and what happens next. There will be time for questions at the end. Mr. Hunt, I'd ask that you advise your client not to speak to Mr. Crowder directly at this meeting. Any communication goes through you or through me." Understood. Ellis read the list. He read the 4 deeds. He read the dates. He read the sale prices. He read the buyer names. He read the date of the pending Piedmont Ridge contract. He read the purchase price. He read the name of the closing agent. When he was done, the room was quiet. Rachel was crying, quietly, the way she cried when she did not want to make a scene. Mark was looking at the table.
Mr. Hunt, Ellis said, your client is going to be indicted this week. Felony counts include fraudulent use of a power of attorney, obtaining property by false pretenses, elder financial exploitation, and forgery on the 3 deeds where the notary signatures don't match the notary log. The state is taking this seriously because Mr. Crowder is 68 years old and the total value of the completed and attempted transactions exceeds $1.1 million. From the phone, the lawyer said, "We'd like to propose an alternative path, restitution in exchange for..." "No," I said. It was the first thing I had said since I walked in. Rachel looked up. "Daddy." I looked at her. "Daddy, please." I looked at her for a long time. I tried to find the 6-year-old on the tractor. I could see her. I could see her clearly. But there was another face on top of the 6-year-old. The face that had laughed at the toast. The face that had nodded when Mark called me dead weight and dressed it up as affection. "Rachel," I said, "I don't hate you. I want you to hear that. I don't hate you." She was sobbing now, quiet, hand over her mouth. "But I am not going to spend the years I have left protecting the 2 of you from what you did. I am not going to do that for Connor's sake, and I am not going to do that for yours. You made your choices. You will live in them." I looked at Mark. He did not look up. I looked back at Ellis. "Continue." The trial was in February. Mark pled out in January against his lawyer's advice because the evidence was so complete that a trial would have cost him 3 more years on top of what he was going to get. He took a deal. 5 years active time in state custody, plus restitution on the parcels that had not yet been recovered, plus a felony record that would end his real estate license. The state attorney general's office recovered the 60 acres from the resort company without litigation. The resort company had not closed. They walked away. They had assumed, as buyers always assume, that the seller's representative was authorized. The reversal cost them a title opinion and a delay. It did not cost them the parcel, because I still owned it. The 40 acres that had been sold in the earlier transactions, 5, 12, 8, 15, were a different story. 20 acres came back. 2 of the buyers, when the fraud was explained to them, agreed to unwind the sales in exchange for return of their purchase money plus interest. Cleve Potter was one of them. Cleve was 81. He had bought the 5 acres because his grandson wanted to build a house. When I called him, he apologized, which was the reverse of what should have happened. I told him there was nothing to apologize for. I told him to keep the 5 acres. I told him to build the house for the grandson. We signed a gift deed 3 weeks later. 20 acres did not come back. The development LLC that had bought the 12 and 15-acre parcels had already transferred them to a third party. That third party was not a willing participant in unwinding the transactions, and the state declined to pursue civil recovery beyond the restitution order against Mark.
The 12 and 15 were gone. Mark was ordered to pay $236,000 in restitution. I did not expect to see most of that money. Men who go to prison rarely earn enough after they come out to make whole what they took. That was not the point. The point was that the number existed in the court record, attached to his name, for any bank or employer or future wife to find. Rachel did not come to the sentencing hearing. She called me 3 times in the week after. Each call went to voicemail. The last voicemail she left was 43 seconds long. I listened to it once. I did not listen to it again. It said what I had known sitting on Roy's porch 3 months earlier, that she would say, "Please drop the charges. He made a mistake. Connor needs his father. I need my father. Daddy." I did not call her back.
In April, I met with Ellis and a woman named Denise Franco, who ran a land conservation trust headquartered in Greensboro. Denise was 47, wore boots that had actually seen mud, and understood agricultural easements the way most people understand their own phone number. I told her what I wanted. I wanted the 140 remaining acres placed into a permanent conservation easement. I wanted the easement to require that the land remain in working agriculture or managed forestry in perpetuity. No subdivision, no resort, no residential development beyond the existing farmhouse and outbuildings. I wanted the easement named for Martha. Denise said she could do that. She said the tax implications would be significant and mostly in my favor, and that the easement would reduce the appraised value of the land by roughly 60%, which meant that the land, in its new form, would be worth less as an asset and more as a place. That was exactly what I wanted. We signed the paperwork on a Wednesday in May. The ceremony, if you can call it that, was Denise, Ellis, a notary, and me, in a conference room in Greensboro. I wore the same flannel I had worn to the birthday dinner. On the way home, I stopped at a diner outside Kernersville and ordered a coffee I did not drink. I sat in the booth. I thought about Martha.
I thought about how Martha would have said, if she were sitting across from me, "Walter, are you sure about this?" And I would have said, "Yes." And she would have said, "Okay then." That was how Martha made decisions. She asked you once if you were sure. You said yes. She said okay. She did not relitigate. I sold the farmhouse in June. Not the land. The land was protected now. I sold the house and the 3 acres immediately around it to a young couple who were moving up from Charlotte to run a small sheep operation on the neighboring parcel. They were 29 and 27. They had 2 dogs and no children yet. They reminded me, in a way I was not going to explain to them, of Martha and me in 1982. I sold the house for $274,000. I moved into a 1-bedroom place in Walnut Cove, 2nd floor, above a hardware store on Main Street. The window faced the mountains. Rue and Bascom came with me. They adjusted to town life the way border collies adjusted to anything, which is to say badly for 3 weeks and then perfectly. I kept the Ford F-250. I still drive the fence line once a month to check the easement compliance, which is now my volunteer assignment with the trust. The new sheep operation uses part of the pasture. There is a family of red-tailed hawks nesting in the loblolly grove at the top of the ridge. I counted 14 deer on the north hayfield in September. The land is still there. The land will be there after I am gone. That was the point.
I turned 69 in October of 2026. I did not have a dinner. I made myself a ribeye on the small grill on the balcony of the apartment over the hardware store. I ate it with a baked potato and a glass of the same Pinot Noir that had been at the table the year before, because I am not sentimental, but I am also not stupid, and sometimes a man deserves to close a loop the way he chooses to close it. I thought about Rachel. I had not spoken to her in 15 months. I had received 3 letters. I had opened none of them. They sat in a drawer in the apartment, unread, because I had decided early on that if Rachel wanted to say something to me that was not a request to restore her access to money she had participated in taking, she could wait until I was ready to hear it, and I was not ready. Connor, my grandson, wrote me once, in June. His letter was shorter. He said he was sorry. He said he had not understood what was happening.
He said he had gone back and watched the video Rachel had taken at the birthday dinner, and he had seen his own face laughing, and he did not like what he had seen. I wrote him back.
I told him that laughing at a joke you didn't understand is not the same as participating in what the joke was covering. I told him he was 19 and that he had a life to make, and that I would like to hear from him again when he had something he wanted to say. I did not tell him I loved him. I did not tell him I was proud of him. I was not ready for either of those things, and I did not want to hand him something he had not yet earned. He wrote back in August. That letter I kept. I read it twice. Roy Mills died in September, pneumonia. He was 77. I went to the funeral in the same flannel, the same polished boots, and I sat in the back pew because that is where you sit at the funeral of a man who knew everything true about you and still thought you were worth knowing. His widow invited me to the house afterward. I went. We drank coffee. She said Roy had talked about me often in the last year. She said he had said, the week before he died, that the Crowder thing was the cleanest job he had been part of in 30 years. I did not cry at the funeral. I cried in the truck on the way home. That is my pattern, and I am not going to change it now.
Here is what I have come to understand. There is a kind of disrespect that dresses itself up as a joke. It asks you to laugh along while it measures you for a grave. It does this in a room full of people who are supposed to love you, and it counts on the fact that the people who are supposed to love you will laugh too, because the alternative of not laughing, of noticing, of naming what has just happened, is too expensive for them. I spent 5 years grateful for the visits. I mistook proximity for love. I mistook a daughter who called me on Sundays for a daughter who saw me. The land was never theirs. The silence that raised it was never theirs either. It was mine. And it will belong now to red-tailed hawks and white-tailed deer and whatever young family of sheep farmers comes after the one I sold the house to for as long as the easement holds, which is forever. That is enough. If this story meant something to you, I'd like to hear from you. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Tell me, if you want to, about the moment you stopped laughing at the joke. Hit the like button if you stayed with me this far. Subscribe if you want to know what comes next. There are more of these stories, and I am in no hurry to run out of time to tell them. Thank you for giving an old man your evening.